and thanks for joining. If you're new here, I'm Wendy and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, just about anywhere we can find things to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, you're in the right place. Today's video is going to be what sold for June 4th through 10th. Let's get started. Well, summer slowdown is definitely here. We have seen a major decrease in sales beginning with the week of June 4th, and it is persisting until now. So we were always prepared for this. We always experience a slowdown during the summer, but it's definitely hit. So let's go over what actually did sell for the week of June 4th through 10th. The first thing we sold did take a while to sell. It was called a Sears Easy Load C160 Super 8 movie camera. We had the case, the manual, and the film. And then I had said read in the title, so there was something wrong with the camera. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think maybe we just didn't really properly know how to test it, or you had to have film in it to test it, and we didn't have any film, so we didn't know for sure that it worked. So we did sell it at a discounted rate compared to people who were able to test theirs and knew that it worked. We had gotten this at a garage sale. We paid $15, which to me was a little bit high. I'm not sure what made us think that $15 was a good price for that, but we did end up selling it for our full asking price of $36.99, so an okay sale. We still made profit on it, not a lot. Next up was something from my husband's personal collection. This was an Iron Men, Cal Ripken Jr., and Lou Gehrig metallic impressions embossed metal baseball cards. They were new in the package. These sold for $15.99, which was our full asking price. We got positive feedback on them. We had these listed for so long. I mean, like 4 or 5 years, and then they finally sold. I think we lowered the price on them at least 2 or 3 times. Next up was a genuine Panasonic TV VCR black remote control. We tested it and it worked. We got this out of a remote bag that we purchased at our thrift store. We paid 54 cents for this one, and it sold for its full asking price of $16.99. That was our full asking price. For some reason, our thrift store where we usually get these remote bags, like those remote bags aren't there anymore. I don't know if they're not getting the remotes anymore, or if another reseller or another bunch of resellers are going in and plucking the remote bags out of the store before we can get there, but we just have not been able to source them anymore. So we are really depleting our stock on remotes. Like, we don't have any more, and we have not found anywhere else that we've been looking. So remotes are kind of hard to come by for us anymore. Next up was a 100th anniversary Tandy Leather 2019 Buyer's Guide catalog and price list. I almost did not list this. I found this in that big box of gun-related magazines that I bought at a garage sale. This was mixed in with all of those books and magazines. I was like, I don't know if this will sell. I mean, who's going to be looking for basically like an old catalog for Tandy Leather? But I always give almost everything I pick up at least a shot to sell, because you never know who's looking for what. I don't think there was any more of these listed, and I can't remember if there had been any when I comped it. I don't think so. But I just decided to list it, and of course this was one of the first things from that lot of magazines that sold. I think we've sold only a couple other things before this one. This sold for only $9.99, but that was well worth my time because our cost of goods on this was 37 cents. So I think it was the right decision to list it for sure. Next up was a Thai Beanie Boo 5-inch stuffed Brutus the Rottweiler dog. He didn't have his tag or anything. We got this out of the Goodwill blue box that we purchased and did an unboxing on our channel. If you did not see that, I will link it so you can check that out. We paid $2.14 for each of the plushies that we got out of that box, and this one sold for $10.99. I think eventually we will probably order another Goodwill blue box, whether it's a plush blue box or one of a different variety, but it was just fun to do an unboxing and see what all was in there. So just for that kind of aspect of it, we'll probably eventually do another one. Next up was 2 Leapfrog Leap Pad reading Scooby-Doo books and cartridges. They were new in the package. We got these at the thrift store for $3.23, and they sold for our full asking price of $19.99. Next up was a lot of 2 Southern cast iron magazines. We got these from the lady who gives us the free magazines on Nextdoor. So we had no cost, and they sold for an offer to buyer of $13.58. Next up was more free magazines. This was a lot of 3 Allure magazines, and they sold for $12 even on best offer. Next up was a 3-piece set of satin nickel bathroom towel rings and a paper towel holder. These were ours. We redid our bathrooms and switched out those items with updated ones. So they were actually in the house when we moved in, so we didn't have any cost with them necessarily. And then they sold for $21 even on best offer. We did have them listed for a long time, probably 2 years or so. Next up was a Columbia PFG adult light blue strap back embroidered visor. We got this at a garage sale. We paid 50 cents for it, and it sold for $8.15 on best offer. We did get positive feedback on that. Next up was a vintage hand-painted Mexican folk art tonala pottery pheasant figurine. We got this at an estate sale for $3, and it sold for $26.38. We did get positive feedback on that as well. Next up was a New International Version Beautiful Word Bible standard print lay flat. It was brand new in the box. I actually got this at the same estate sale that I just got that hand-painted bird that was right before this. And for this Bible, I paid $1, and it sold for $23.98 on offer to buyer. At this time, I'd like to pause for a moment and invite you to subscribe to our channel if you're not already. It is one of the most important things you can do to support our channel and would really help us out. There's also a bunch of links in the description box below, so after this video, go down and check out those links for other ways that you can support our channel. Thank you so much. Alright, next up was a Modern Luxe women's charcoal gray short sleeve dog mom t-shirt. We got this at a thrift store for $1.88. I don't remember what about it made us pick it up, but we did for some reason. And it did eventually sell for $11.98. Probably not an item I would pick up again, but we did get positive feedback on it. Next up was a County Fair cookbook paperback. We accidentally picked this up along with a bunch of community cookbooks. I think it just got mixed in, or we thought it was a community cookbook, and then it ended up being, more of a national type book. So we just sold it individually and then ended up loading all those community cookbooks together. But this one we got at a garage sale for $1 and sold it for $7.48. So not something I would pick up again because we kind of accidentally picked that up, but it still sold. Next up was a 4-inch pewter heart-shaped candle holder or trinket tray, or you could use it as a soap dish. We got this out of the $75 storage auction unit that we purchased, and everything in that unit broke down to be 28 cents a piece. This one sold for $11.18. Next up was a pair of Cato women's plus size curvy stretch denim jeans. We got these out of a different storage unit that we purchased. This unit we had purchased for $30, and each of the items out of that unit broke down to be 24 cents each. So these jeans sold for $18.38 on offer to buyer. And we got positive feedback on those. Next up was a vintage, the brand was called Lyna, L-Y-N-A. It was a set of 17 Paris, France 4x6 souvenir monuments postcards. And it was in a booklet form. They would fold out, and then they were perforated. You could tear each of them off. They were all unused, unwritten on. And those we got out of that box of maps that we got at the garage sale with all the vintage clothes. And that box of maps had broken down with each of the items in that box costing only 9 cents. And we've sold a lot of stuff out of that box. That was a really good purchase. We paid just $5 in total for the box. So this postcard booklet sold for $9.68 on offer to buyer. So with our cost of goods only being 9 cents, that was still a really good sale. Next up was a pair of Ralph Lauren men's black pleated cuffed total comfort dress pants. Men's Ralph Lauren dress pants, we pick them up every time we see them, but we never see them anymore. After the pandemic, everybody got rid of a lot of their dress pants and we were finding them everywhere and they were selling great, but we never see them anymore now. I think that little spurt kind of ran its course and now we rarely see Ralph Lauren dress pants anymore. But those we got at a thrift store for $5.35 and these sold for $27.18. For some reason, this was a pair that we had for a long time and this particular pair wasn't selling, but it had been listed in our store for about 2 years and this pair finally sold. Next up was a great sale, and I had a situation where I kind of had to talk the buyer down, but she was very, very happy in the end. She purchased a set of 2 Pottery Barn Flax Chenille Maddie Square pillow shams. They were really beautiful, square European pillow shams, and they had a really pretty design on them. These were discontinued pillow shams, and I had comped them really carefully before I listed them and saw that they were selling high. So I listed ours at $129.99. We had paid $5.40 at the thrift store. And I had seen them at the thrift store the day before and they were not marked. The price was not on them. And our thrift store has a rule that if it's not priced, they won't sell it to you. Under any circumstances, no matter what, you have to come back the next day and they will have priced it, and then at that time you can buy it. And I was so disappointed that the price had been taken off of them that day I wanted them, because I knew that they were valuable and I knew that they would sell. And I was just so afraid that if I left them, somebody else was going to pick them up. So of course, they wouldn't sell them to me and I had to wait till the next day. So the next day my husband went back and they were still there and he picked them up. So we got lucky in that regard. They ended up selling for full price of $129.99 to a buyer, and she messaged me on the day that she picked them up, I guess at her post office, at her P.O. box, and from her car she sent me a message that said, I think you sent me the wrong color, these are more gold than they are beige. And I was like, oh no. So I said, color can appear different in different lights, and chenille is really notorious for that because of the nap. Why don't you take them home and get them set up and see what you think of them in the natural light of your house, and they'll probably be okay. And I mean, I was really surprised, but that ended up working. She sent me a beautiful picture of them set up in her bedroom, which was so beautifully decorated. And she was so happy with them. And she said, yes, you were exactly right. They look perfect. It must have been the sunlight. They look absolutely beautiful in my bedroom. I'm so happy. I've been looking for these forever. So I was like, oh my gosh, that worked. Yay. So I was really happy about that because I did not want to take back that order. And I was so thrilled to get a full price offer on those shams. And we ended up getting positive feedback from her as well. Next up was a Build-A-Bear Workshop Valentine's satin robe and nightgown slipper set. This came from the big Build-A-Bear purchase that we did at that garage sale. This one sold for $11.98 on offer to buyer, and we had paid just $1 for that. This one did have some staining on it, so we had to price it a little bit lower than some of the other ones. Next up was 2 design wear rectangle SpongeBob classic plastic tablecloths for like a party, like a birthday party type thing. We got these out of the Goodwill bins. They were brand new in the package. We paid 61 cents for them, and they sold for $13.58 on offer to buyer. Next up was a really good sale. It was a Michael Kors black velvet quilted gold chain shoulder handbag. We got this out of one of the storage units. This one came out of the $75 unit, so our cost of goods was just 28 cents, and this handbag sold for $70. I did take a good offer on this one because we have been really trying to move some stuff with this summer slowdown, but 28 cents into $70 is a total win for me. I was very, very happy with that. Next up, I'm going to go over all of the collectible cards that sold from my husband's personal collection. We have not listed very many. Actually, the ones that we have listed have been lower value cards. We've kind of focused on listing some larger quantities of lower value cards instead of listing some higher value cards. We'll go back to doing some higher value cards at a later time. It's just not what we've been focusing on right now. But we did manage to sell 2 higher value cards. The first one we sold was a Magic the Gathering Arabian Nights card. It was called If Biff Afreet. And that one sold on auction for $153.50. Next up was another Magic the Gathering cards. This one was from the Legends set. This one was called Solkanar the Swamp King. And this one sold for $49.99, which was our full asking price. Next, I'll go over the low value cards, cards valued at $10 or less. This week we sold 4 cards in total for a total dollar amount of $11.87. One of those cards sold on Mercari. Now let's go over all of the totals. This week we sold 28 items in total for an average sale price of $23.83. Our sales totaled $667.24 for a net profit of $384.52. So looking at last week compared to this week, our sales totals were like less than half of what they were last week. Last week they were like $1,700. This week our total sales were $667. So I don't know what happened, but they just completely plummeted. We're still listing actively. There's no reason for them to be this low, but they really went down. So that's unfortunate, but we're just going to keep plugging away and hopefully they will pick back up, or we'll just make it through summer and they'll pick back up in 4th quarter. But let me know in the comments below how your sales are doing. Let me know if you enjoyed this video by hitting the like button. Again, if you're not already subscribed, it would really mean a lot to us if you would hit that subscribe button. And thank you so much for joining. We will catch you guys on the flip side.